What's up? I'm back. Let's talk about movies. Today I'm gonna rank every single movie that I saw in 2025 that came out in 2025. Remember when I did that in 2024? But before I was bound by a 3-minute time limitation. But now that I'm on my own channel, I get to talk about movies that no one cares about for even longer! Yippee! There are a few things I want to talk about before we get into the ranking. First of all, I have terrible taste in movies, so there's a lot of movies that came out this year that I just didn't see. I didn't see Wicked for Good because I'm not a theater kid. I didn't see Demon Slayer because I'm not a weeb. I didn't see Lilo and Stitch because I'm not a Disney adult. And I didn't see Avatar because I have self-respect. And if you're upset that any specific movie isn't included on this list, just know that I didn't include it to upset you specifically, Jason. Also, you're probably wondering why on earth I'm making a video about 2025 movies in 2026. 3 months into 2026, as a matter of fact. Well, that's because
everybody was kung fu fighting!
Karate Kid Legends is the cinematic equivalent of a nothing burger. This is a boring, dull, tedious, monotonous, asinine, and what? You're wondering why, for this movie titled Karate Kid, I played the song Kung Fu Fighting for the ranking thing right before this? Well, that's because this movie, titled Karate Kid, is about Kung Fu. It doesn't get better than this. This is Protagonist. His name is Protagonist because I refuse to look up his real name or anyone else's name in this entire movie. Protagonist has just moved to New York City where he meets love interest, as well as love interest's dad, and he genuinely has more screen time and better chemistry with love interest's dad than he does with love interest. It turns out that the dad owns a bunch of money to some people, so the protagonist agrees to help train the dad for a fight to get the money to pay back the people who he owes money to. And the reason that the protagonist doesn't just fight in a fight to get the money is because his brother died after he won a martial arts competition. Anyways, training montage! Now it's time for the fight. It appears as the love interest's dad is gonna win, but then the opponent pulls out some dirty moves and he gets in the hospital. Oh no! And now, the protagonist has to enter a fighting tournament in order to get the money to save his love interest's dad's pizza shop. Which means that everything we watched up until this point was completely pointless. Which, thank God, because I hate it when the first half of movies matter. It's just too intense. I way prefer it when only the last 30 minutes are important. Now, from my description, it might seem like this movie just changed to a completely different story halfway through. But that's not true. Because it happens 2/3 of the way through the movie. And because it's trying to have 2 different stories in this one movie, it ends up leaving both plot lines completely underbaked and with no time to develop. On top of all of that, this movie is only 90 minutes long. Now, I'm not saying you can't make a good movie in 90 minutes, but you definitely can't make this movie good in 90 minutes. This just makes the pacing way too fast. Characters who I think are supposed to be important just don't have any screen time, and every single scene feels like it was chopped up to fit in the time frame. It genuinely feels like I'm watching this movie through a series of YouTube shorts. On top of all of that, there's just some really weird writing decisions that don't make sense. For example, when the protagonist is training for the final fight, the characters from the previous 2 movies, oh yeah, there are characters from the previous 2 movies, the one in the 80s and the one in like the 2010. Anyways, they tell him that if he can pull off the super complex technique, he can win the fight. So, they show him training, and he's training. He's trying to do the super complex technique. He keeps doing it. He hasn't gotten it yet. But then, he gets it. He just does the super complex technique. Wouldn't it make more sense from a storytelling standpoint that he tries to do the super complex technique during the training, but he's never able to actually get it? So that way, when the final fight comes around, it's like, oh, is he going to be able to do it? By having him actually pull off the super complex technique during the training, it gets rid of all the tension that would have happened during the climax about whether or not he would have been able to do it. Now, at this point, despite hearing all of this, you might be thinking, well, Noah, I know this movie sounds pretty bad, but does it really deserve a last place 2 out of 10? Well, you haven't heard the worst of it yet, because during one training montage, they play a Benson Boone song.
Focus! Get low. Lock.
I rest my case.
My little pony, my little pony.
Death of a Unicorn is a movie that my mom wanted to see, so I went with her to see it. I'm not saying I regret going to see this movie with my own mother. I will begin this section with a compliment. At the beginning of the film, there is genuinely a really nice piece of symbolism and foreshadowing. At the very start of the movie, we see Paul Rudd, the father, and Jenna Ortega, the daughter. Jenna Ortega is resting her head on Paul Rudd's shoulder. She's sleeping, and Paul Rudd is reading some important work document thing. But then he drops the important work document. It's just out of reach. But if he wants to move and get it, then he'll have to stop supporting his daughter's head on his shoulder, and her head will fall. He does it anyways, and Jenna Ortega's head hits the armrest thing on the plane. This is actually really, really, really good symbolism, because for the rest of the movie, we see Paul Rudd prioritizing work and his career and his relationship with his bosses over his relationship with his daughter. There's no joke here. This is just really good symbolism, and I'm kind of impressed it's from this absolutely hot garbage movie. So then they're driving to the retreat. They're on a company retreat, I didn't mention that, but they're driving through a national park and they hit something. Oh my gosh, it's a unicorn. But they don't want to tell people they hit a unicorn, so they have to put it out of its misery and stow it in the trunk. They make it to the home of their rich bosses, and they're like, "Oh, chill. You're rich? That means you're the bad guys." But then, oh my gosh, the unicorn, it was still alive. They find it writhing around in the trunk, but then when they get it out, it's dead again. Why was it moving? I don't know. I don't know why this is funny. This movie sucks. They find the corpse, and they test on the blood, and they find out that the blood of the unicorn has special healing properties. So they use it to cure cancer. Okay. But then the parents of the dead unicorn get mad, and they know where the unicorn corpse is, the unicorpse, if you will, so they go to murder everyone. But hold on a minute. In a typical slasher movie, which is what this film is trying to be, typically the people who die deserve it in some way. It's a sense of karmic justice, but at this point, I don't think the rich people have really done anything wrong. They're just taking opportunity of an unfortunate accident. Hey, there's a dead unicorn that can literally cure cancer. Let's use it to cure cancer. Obviously, they do bad stuff later in this movie, but at this point, I'm not sure if they really deserve the death. But I guess they were kind of trying to, like, sell it off so only their rich people friends can use it and sell it, which I guess, but that's not really clear. And why am I talking about this movie? You should know why this movie is bad. It's called Death of a Unicorn, starring Jenna Ortega, the woman who can never star in a good movie to save her life. This is just a bad slasher movie with Marvel movie-esque dialogue. It's a 2 out of 10, and I shouldn't have to explain why it's a 2 out of 10.
Have you America'd yet today?
Captain America: Brave New World is another bad Marvel movie. That's what I would say, but it's not quite that simple. The biggest issue with this movie is the fact that the marketing spoiled the final boss of this movie. Everyone knows, oh my gosh, Red Hulk, he's in this movie, but the movie tries to pass it off as a twist, so it just doesn't work. But to be fair, the only reason they spoiled the final boss was because the villain, who's actually a villain for most of the movie, is also supposed to be a twist. So they had to pick one of these two bad guys to market, and they picked the one that people are more likely to recognize, being, hey, it's the Hulk, but he's red. That's exciting. But speaking of that first villain, he's actually really, really cool. He's a character who was first introduced in the Incredible Hulk movie in 2008, and the fact that they finally brought him back 17 years later is honestly really cool. And there's some really cool foreshadowing to the fact that he's the main villain, honestly. I watched Incredible Hulk like a couple weeks before this movie for the first time, so I was able to pick up on bits of foreshadowing, and it was really, really cool. But then this movie has other problems, like the fact that the characters are super duper bland. Aside from Sam Wilson, the main character, the Captain America guy, I don't remember any other characters' names. Except for Harrison Ford. No, I don't remember Harrison Ford's name. General something. Yeah. I think that's my biggest issue with this movie, because there's a lot of really cool stuff in it, but it's buried under so much typical Marvel mediocrity, which I can kind of say that for most of the Phase 4, 5 movies. Like, there's a lot of really cool action scenes, and I like the villain, like I said, and there's one part where Bucky shows up as a brief cameo, and he talks to Sam about whether Sam should have taken the super soldier serum, and it's really well written and stuff. But aside from those brief moments, everything else is just typical Marvel slop that they've been pumping out for the past 5 years. And just like all that slop, it doesn't deserve to be talked about. Moving on!
K-pop!
Fuck you.
For his neutral special, he wields a naked gun.
I'm conflicted about this movie. You see, when it comes to a spoof movie like The Naked Gun, the plot, the characters, most of the movie doesn't really matter. It's all about the jokes. And what did I think about the jokes? Kinda hit or miss. In my opinion, the jokes that don't work in this movie are the ones that are either A, too long, or B, too crude. Like, there's this one part where the body cam footage is being reviewed, and it shows Liam Neeson eating a hot dog, and then getting an upset stomach, and then going to the bathroom, and then eating more hot dogs. It wasn't that funny, and it goes on for like 5 minutes. There are also some jokes that just felt kind of outdated. Like, there's this one part where Liam Neeson gets in an electric car, and then he just starts messing stuff up, getting into some wacky hijinks with it because electric cars are just so confusing. LOL, XD. And it was like sort of funny, but at the same time, I felt like I was watching a Smosh video from 2018. I know this kind of makes me sound like I hated everything about this movie and I was a miserable grump the whole time, but I did like this movie. There were some really good jokes in it, but the thing is that those jokes were surrounded by other jokes that weren't very good. So I reckon that thinking about it, around half the jokes landed for me, so a 5 out of 10 seemed fair. Yeah, that makes sense. I wrote something else, but I kind of like the way I ended it there.
Say that again?
Fantastic Four? More like the Fine Four. It was fine. Okay, so I really liked the beginning of this movie. It does a great job of establishing the characters and the setting and the stakes. Stakes. Now I want a steak. I didn't eat lunch today, so I'm just hungry. And the fight they have on Galactus's big spaceship thing is really, really cool. But then they make it back to Earth, and nothing happens for like the entire middle act of the movie. They get back to Earth, and they say, hey, we're not gonna give him our baby to stop the destruction of the planet. And everyone's like, what the hell? And we get scenes of people being angry. And then Pedro Pascal's like, wait, what if we push the Earth somewhere else? And then we get a montage of everyone working to push the Earth somewhere else. And then they show up and they destroy the teleporters. And they're like, okay, but what if we teleport Galactus somewhere else? And then we get a montage of that. And do you see the problem with this movie? There's a lot of montages, and not a lot really happens. There's also no action during this middle act. And for the record, I'm not a child. I can watch a movie without big explosions and fight scenes. But it's a superhero movie! I want action in my superhero movie! And then the climax happens, and it's also really boring. Okay, so do you know how people always criticize the Avengers movies because every climax has one big bad guy surrounded by an army of smaller bad guys, and they're just easily disposable and stuff? Well, this movie demonstrates why that kind of thing is important, because the climax is literally all of them just trying to push Galactus into the most complicated cookie and box trap ever. It's not like they even have to protect the citizens from collateral damage or anything, because all the citizens have been evacuated underground. So they're all just taking turns trying to push Galactus in there. Wow, that's exciting. And speaking of Galactus, he's not much better either. He's boring. I know that I'm gonna get crapped on for this hot take, but Galactus just does not work for me, okay? I mean, he looks really cool, and I like his voice, I guess, but his only motivation is that he's hungry. But the worst part about this movie is that they try to do a fake-out death for Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, which, first of all, is already dumb, but is even stupider in context because we already knew she was gonna live because she was in the Avengers Doomsday cast announcement. You can't kill off a character when it's been established they're coming back in a later movie. You know what, this movie is so bad, I'm lowering it a place. Currently, right now, it's at number 8, but I'm moving it down to number 9. How does it feel, Fantastic Four? You just got beaten by...
Lava! Chicken jockey!
So I already talked about the Minecraft movie, and if you watch that, you might be surprised at how high it's ranked for this one, because I wasn't very nice when I first talked about it. But then I watched it again, and I realized what I was missing. You see, this movie is stupid. But that's the point. Let me make it clear. This movie isn't good. It's not good at all. But it is a damn good time. And this is not the only movie on this list where that applies. That thing applies to. Good time, that's what I said. Leave this all in. I still have issues with the movie. The 2 female characters really don't do anything. This kid can't really act. And pretty much any attempt at an emotional moment just kind of falls flat on its face. But I think now I'm more able to look past all of that and just enjoy this movie for the stupid good time it is. It gave us Chicken Jockey. Come on, that's genuinely one of the best experiences I ever had in a movie theater. Not Endgame, no, Chicken Jockey. That changed the game, man. If you want to hear more about why this absurdist comedic movie works, there's a guy called RT Game. He did a full video essay about this movie and why it works, and you should give it a watch if you have an hour and 40 minutes to spare. And while I'm recommending things, if you were disappointed at the tone of the Minecraft movie and you wanted something more serious, then look no further than Alan Becker Animation versus Minecraft. Remember this video you watched when you were 10 years old? Well, that guy, he made more of those videos, and they're actually really, really, really good, and you should watch them. They're actually amazing. I'm working on a full video just about those videos, alright? They're great. Watch them. Transition!
It's softball, ladies and gentlemen!
I think out of every movie on this list, Elio is the movie that I wanted to talk about the least. But I am unfortunately a completionist, so I will talk about it. And to keep it brief, Elio is a good Pixar movie. It's not great, but it is good. It's a bit more aimed towards kids, but there are some really cool alien designs and some pretty funny moments. So why did I not want to talk about this movie? Well, it's because there's so much else to talk about that I just don't want to. I could talk about this movie's box office bomb, which will inevitably spawn more Pixar sequels. Or I could talk about the animation, how some people think it's awful, but I think it's kind of good. Or I could talk about the apparently many things Disney cut from this movie, including the gay stuff, because Disney hates gay stuff. I could talk about all of that, but I just don't want to. So instead, I'm going to talk about the real best thing Pixar made in 2025. Win or Lose is a Disney Plus series about a softball team, a kids' softball team that children, middle schoolers, I think, compete in. And every single episode is from a different character's perspective. And it's honestly really cool. It's funny, it's emotional, it's creative, it does some really cool stuff with the animation. The character designs, they kind of look like they're from a Kroger commercial, but if you get past that, it's great. Give it a watch if you got the Disney Plus. You should do it, or don't. I'm not your dad.
Would you like to see a magic trick?
No!
After ranking a Legacy sequel at the bottom of my 2024 list and my 2025 list, you might think that I just hate Legacy sequels. Well, guess what? You're wrong, because Now You See Me, Now You Don't is honestly a really good Legacy sequel. What works about this movie compared to other Legacy sequels, aside from actually good writing, is how it's able to balance the screen time between the old and the new characters. It genuinely feels like both of these groups of characters are important to the plot. And there's this one part of the movie where they split up in this magic house full of tricks, and we get to see The old characters pair off with the new characters, and we get some really cool interactions that we wouldn't get if they were all bunched together normally. But with all that being said, I did think the new characters were a little boring, and I kind of would have preferred if it was just the old characters in this movie, but still, you know, A plus for effort. They get an A plus for effort. Why am I repeating myself? Please God, cut this out. And while I'm criticizing stuff about this movie, the final trick that they do is really similar to the final trick that they do in Now You See Me Too, and it just kind of, it makes it less impactful, and it's like, it lessens the whoa moment, you know, you don't get the whoa! It's just kind of like, well, they did that before. But aside from all of that, it's just a pretty dang good movie, you know? There's some really good action with the magic stuff, it's pretty funny at times, and, you know, it's a Now You See Me movie. Those movies are the cinematic equivalent of a 7 out of 10, but a 7 out of 10 is a good movie. And also, there's a really good twist at the end of this movie. It's actually really, really good. Not like the Now You See Me 1 twist with the Mark Ruffalo. No, it's actually really good, and it's like, it makes a lot of sense, and there's some good foreshadowing. I won't spoil it for you. You gotta watch the movie on your own to get that.
Joanna! It's your dad! Don't go in the vault! Valentina's gonna burn you alive!
Noah, oh my gosh, how could you possibly rank Thunderbolts over Fantastic Four? How? Well, I'll tell you how. It's because Thunderbolts has David Harbour, baby! Okay, let me just get my one big criticism out of the way. This movie doesn't have a middle act. It feels like the end of the first act of this movie should be them escaping the vault, and the beginning of the third act of this movie should be them breaking into Avengers Tower, but very little happens in between, so it just kind of feels like, oh, there's not a middle act to this movie. Also, this is more of a nitpick than a criticism, but when they're in the void and the bad memory place, I kind of thought it would have been cooler if instead of, like, going into one other bad memory, everyone could have gone through, like, a maze of everyone else's bad memories, and that could have been good for, like, backstory and stuff. But aside from that, the movie's really good. I think probably the best part about this movie is the characters, you know? They're all kind of dysfunctional together, and they're all, like, semi-unlikable, but despite all of that, you still care about them, and you want to see them form a team and win. It's like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, or the second Suicide Squad movie. Aside from that, you know, it's funny, there's some good action, I don't really know what else to say, man. It's a good Marvel movie. It's been too long since we've had one of those. The last time we had a good Marvel movie that wasn't Deadpool was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in May of 2023. Marvel, can you please make Avengers Doomsday good? I need this. I just want to like my superheroes. There's so little to like anymore. Please. Please. I want good superhero, please.
Hi, Adrian, how are you? Very bad. Someone's trying to kill me.
So at this point, you're probably thinking, wow, Noah sure likes his slop and his garbage. Look at these terrible films he's watched this year. What's wrong with him? Why is he like this? I bet you've never, even once in your life, thought about consuming actual film. Well, you're wrong, because Whiplash is a really good movie that I really like. And also Wes Anderson, I saw a Wes Anderson movie this year, the new one, The Phoenician Scheme. I watched that, and I liked it. Look at me now, I'm a cinephile. Like I said, this was the first Wes Anderson movie I've seen, and it was pretty good, you know? Obviously, because I haven't seen his other ones, I don't know how they compare, but I liked it. It was good. I liked, it was kind of funny and quirky, in a quirky way. I said that. I liked the basketball scene. That was pretty funny. The cinematography was good. I mean, you already know that it's a Wes Anderson movie. I liked Richard Ayoade in this movie. Is that how you pronounce it? I think something like that. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this movie. It's just like, if you've seen a Wes Anderson movie, you know why this movie's good. And if you haven't seen a Wes Anderson movie, the best way I can explain why this movie is good is go watch a Wes Anderson movie and see what works. You know, maybe I shouldn't have ranked this. Back to the garbage!
Superman, he flies through the rings. Superman, he does lots of things.
Ah yes, the real best Marvel movie this year. Superman. Okay, so this movie is weird, but it's weird in a good way. It's weird in the way where it just does whatever the heck it wants, and it expects you to keep up. It doesn't feel the need to explain everything. It doesn't have a character going, what was that just now? It just does what it wants, and it expects you to deal with it. And I like that. I find it funny how in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, every superhero movie wanted to be super dark and serious. And now the pendulum has swung back the other way, and now we want superhero movies to be more silly. I'm not saying like one is better than the other, but I thought it was interesting. And of course, you can't talk about Superman without talking about Superman, because Superman is Superman. Superman in this movie is what he's supposed to be. He's a symbol of hope and of kindness. But he also struggles with whether or not his past defines him or his actions do. And that's a really good conflict. And it's better than some superhero movies where the superhero just knows right from wrong, without a doubt, and there's never any internal struggle over it, and they're perfect. That's right, I'm talking about Captain America. I hate Captain America, Steve Rogers' Captain America. He's a bad character, and I'll die on this hill. Fuck you. And yeah, it's just a good movie. I like the other characters and the other superheroes. There's some good action, and Superman actually struggles in these fights, which makes him feel more human, and the fight scenes more exciting. At this point in the script, I was gonna do a joke about Netflix buying Warner Bros. And ruining the cinematic universe, but the situation has already changed between me writing that and me filming this. So I'm just not gonna write anything else, because I don't trust myself to edit this before the situation changes. Again, green screen car crash.
Arby's, we have the meat.
And now this begins the actual recording. Okay, so, hey guys, welcome to my PowerPoint presentation about Zootopia 2. It's a good movie, and this is about why it's a good movie. So, we have to start with the background. Zootopia 2 is a sequel to Zootopia, and a prequel to Zootopia 3. That's what we're starting with. Made a lot of money, the most money, I think, ever. Yeah. And then, I didn't think, on a personal note, I didn't think I would like the movie, because the trailers for the movie made it look not good. But, let me tell ya, boy was I wrong. This is me. After I saw it, I was like, well, that's so good. Anyways, the good things about the movie, the things that I liked. Animation was very good. I thought it was expressive, and like, it looked really good. This isn't from the actual movie. This is like a little, it was quite funny. There were some jokes in there, good jokes, and I liked the jokes. Then we have good action sequences. There were some chase sequences in the movie, and I thought they were super cool because they like utilized the environment well. They'd be like, hop up here, and then hop up here, and then swing, pow, and that was pretty cool. Likeable main characters. This was like the best part. Both of the main characters, these are them. They're not from the movie, but like that's the animals they are. They were really likable, and they had a believable relationship between them with believable conflict, and yeah, super cool and awesome on that. And it was like the core of the movie. It was like the main point, instead of the racism in the first movie. There's still racism in this movie, but it's not as important. And then we get the not so good. There was a snake character in the movie, and I thought he could have been in the movie more, because he felt like he was really important. And I feel like if the snake, this isn't the snake in the movie. This is like this character's name is Snake, and so it's kind of like a funny joke. But I thought he could have been in the movie more, and had his character fleshed out a bit more. And I didn't really like the twist villain. I thought he was introduced too late in the movie and didn't get enough time to be villainous. He wasn't the worst, but
I thought he could have been better. And then I think I was supposed to write something else here, but I forgot. Anyways, overall though, I liked it. I give it a big ol' thumbs up. That's what this is. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. Yeah, that was super cool.
Dread it, run from it, destiny arrives all the same.
Finally, it's the actual best Marvel movie this year. You know, I think it's really interesting the direction they chose to go with Thanos' character in this movie, making him less of a genocidal maniac and more so just kind of like a guy who uses religion as a weapon, which is much more grounded and realistic. Wait, hold on. I think I have the wrong script here. Okay, no, this is a Knives Out movie. Okay, all right. Start again. After Rian Johnson spent 2 movies preaching the bold message of rich people suck, he decided to go as controversial with his next message and say that religion is sometimes good and sometimes bad. I do like how they acknowledge both the good and the bad parts of religion and how it can be used by evil people to do evil, bad things, and also used by good people who genuinely believe what they're preaching and do good things. Yeah. I love it when movies actually acknowledge the complexities of a social issue instead of just saying it's a black and white thing. I love it when they do that. Speaking of good stuff, wow, great transition. I really like Father Judd's and Benoit Blanc's dynamic and relationship in this movie. It might just be because these two had the most screen time, but I think out of all the duos with Blanc and someone else in the Knives Out movies, these guys are my favorite. But speaking of the other Knives Out movies, okay, that was actually a pretty good transition. I don't think the mystery here is as good as the one in those movies. The previous movies had some kind of subversion on the classic whodunit, because in the first movie, they act like they're gonna do a whodunit, and then they revealed who did it, and we followed the movie of them trying not to get caught. And in Glass Onion, the murder doesn't even happen until like halfway through the movie, but then soon after that, they go back to the start of the movie and reveal a previous murder, and they're trying to solve the mystery of that one, while the audience is trying to solve both mysteries at the same time. But in Wake Up Dead Man, there's a murder mystery. And that's kind of it. There's no twist this time. And because of this, the best part of any murder mystery, the big reveal and the spiel of how and why they did it, doesn't hit as hard, because it's less impactful than the previous 2 movies. And while I'm being critical, the ensemble cast for this movie didn't really work for me like it did for the other movies. I don't remember a lot of them, aside from the one influencer dude, the guy who did it. Not the guy, it was a girl. It was an old woman. And also Jeremy Renner. Those are the only 3 I remember, and everyone else was just kind of there, and I didn't really care about them. And I think part of the reason why that doesn't work is because of how this movie handles the investigation of the crime. It doesn't feel like they're scoping everyone out to see if they did it. It feels like you're just watching Blanc and Father Judd try to prove that Judd is innocent, which doesn't work as well for a whodunit. Because we're focusing on who done it, it's more of a who didn't do it. And he didn't do it. We know he didn't do it. But we don't care about who did it. I'm not saying that this way of telling a murder mystery story is bad, but the thing is, when you're setting up a whodunit and you have this ensemble cast, you've got, this is a really bad way to end this ranking. Breaking the fourth wall, this is not a great way to end this ranking. Like, this is supposed to be the best movie, but I've just done nothing but criticize it. Well, I complimented it a little bit, but I mostly just kind of criticized it. For the record, I did like this movie. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10, but it's just the things that work in this movie are the things that work in the other Knives Out movies. And so the only thing to really talk about is what this movie does differently, and what this movie does differently isn't that good, because it's the worst out of the 3. So is this it? Is this really how I'm gonna end my return, my grade return? My number 1 ranking movie is an 8.5 out of 10 that I have more bad things to say about it than good? No. There is one more. One movie that could never claim to be better or worse than any movie on this list, because it disregards any notion of what a good or a bad movie truly is. It simply chooses to be a masterpiece. And that movie is...
Hello?
Screw you! This is my list, and I get to do whatever I want with it. The Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie is without a doubt the best movie I've seen this entire year. But Noah, are you serious? This movie? This pile of slop? You like this? Are you stupid? No, I'm an idiot. This is Five Nights at Freddy's 2, starring U.S. politician Matthew Patrick. What did you expect this movie to be? Good? There is no universe in which this movie was going to be good, but what it is a damn good time. So let's go through it. Let's scour every single inch of this utterly awful masterpiece. The film starts in not 1987, in which we see a girl named Charlie sitting on her own when she sees some guy in a yellow rabbit take a child into a back room. It's safe to say that that child's name is Andrew. She goes around asking the other adults for help, and they all ignore her, which, like, I get what this movie's trying to say, but also, like, are you really telling me that, like, 3 different adults wouldn't help a girl who was obviously in distress? That's kind of messed up. So she takes matters into her own hands, and she goes into the back room to save the child probably named Andrew. And she does it, and she saves him, but she dies in the process after getting stabbed. Wait, she got stabbed like 3 times and still carried that child? That's kind of crazy. We cut to the present day of 2002, and we get reintroduced to the characters from the first movie. We got Abby, we got Mike, we got Vanessa, who was out of her coma that she was in at the end of the last movie. Did you remember she was in a coma? No? Neither does this movie. We learned that Abby is involved in her robotics club, and that she's gonna present a robot she made at a robotics competition thing. The stakes are very high. I hope you are invested. And Mike, still thinking about the events of the previous movie with the ghost kids and everything, tries to go talk to Charlie's dad. And I don't think they ever say his name in the movie. Like, I know that this character's name is Henry, because I wasted 10 years of my life watching FNAF lore, but I think I don't think they ever say his name is Henry in the movie. Maybe like once, but they just kind of just like, oh, you know who he is, that's kind of ballsy. I respect it. And then Vanessa tries to do some of that dream stuff that Mike was doing in the previous movie, and so we get a big scene of Vanessa's lucid dream with William Afton. This is his role in the film. This is like most of his scenes are in this part of the movie. Now this might be a hot take, but I don't really like Matthew Lillard as William Afton.
Don't you know that I care about you?
I'm not saying that he's a bad actor or anything, but when I think of William Afton, I think of a twisted psychopath who's traded away his last amount of humanity for his constant crusade towards immortality, and who also might be British. But, like, this guy just looks like my dad, and I'm not scared of my dad. Like I said, this isn't a problem with Matthew Lillard, it's just the casting. I don't really agree with the casting, but he might be good as Springtrap in the next movie when it's just his voice. But if you want to talk about really good casting for a completely insane psychopath, look no further than Freddie Carter as Michael Afton. I'm going a little bit out of order here. This guy actually shows up earlier in the movie, but I love Michael Afton. He is easily the best part of this entire movie. His devious little smirk and the way he delivers every single line like it's an inside joke that only he gets.
It's Michael, actually. You did your homework. She never told you about me. That's my sister for you.
He's great. He's the best part of this movie. Scott, if you're watching, you gotta give this guy a really big role in the next movies. I can't live in a world where Michael Afton only has 2 minutes of screen time, alright? I need more of him. I need more Michael. Anyways, back to the plot. So the toy animatronics, which are the bad guys in this movie, trick Abby into letting them out, letting them escape from the pizzeria which they were confined in. And so now they're out and about and ready to kill. So Mike and Vanessa show up to the pizzeria and they find that all the animatronics are gone. So then Vanessa's like, here, I'll go out on the town and try to stop them. And then Mike's like, okay, I'll try to stay here and get the perimeter thing back up so they don't work outside the perimeter no more. And this part's actually really cool because Mike is actually doing like FNAF gameplay, you know? He's in this small office, he can't really leave, and he has to defend himself against the incoming animatronics. This is actually a really cool scene in the movie and captures the gameplay of its source material. That's really good. But with this scene probably comes people's biggest issue with the movie. The withered animatronics do not get a lot of screen time. They show up very briefly in these scenes of Mike in the office, but aside from that, they don't get much. But in this movie's defense, the game of FNAF 2 has a lot of characters. There's too many of these, to be honest. So this movie had to cut some characters in order to keep a semi-decent pacing. And one of those characters, some of those characters that they cut, were the withered animatronics. And I get it, it sucks. I would have loved more screen time from them too, but if they tried to give them a bigger role, like as big as a role as the toy animatronics, the movie just would have felt way overstuffed. And I'm glad that we got some scenes of them, but the fact that we didn't get a bunch more, it's fine. I'm okay with it. Also, Josh Hutcherson snaps Balloon Boy's neck, which will never not be funny. But what about the toy animatronics, the characters that this movie is actually about? Look, here's the thing. You show me Toy Freddy, and he's kinda scary, yeah. He's big, he's probably unstoppable, he could kill me with his bare hands. Bare hands. I didn't even mean to make that pun. But I'm just not scared of him. And that's because this character delivered this line.
I have these fat plastic fingers and can't press with buttons.
These characters just aren't scary because they've been silly too much. So no matter what context I see them in, whether it's in the movie or a game or in a freaking anime even, I'm not scared of them because I know that that's MatPat voicing Toy Bonnie and I can't take him seriously. Anyways, Mike eventually gets the perimeter back up. All the toy animatronics shut down, but the puppet is still in action and it's at Mike's house with Abby. So they gotta go and stop it. They use a music box they got earlier to incapacitate the puppet, which is cool because it's a game reference. But then the toy animatronics, they're back and they're being controlled by the best character in the movie, Michael Afton. And why is he doing this? Well, it's because his dad told him to. I think that's the motivation. That's what I got. Sure. You know what? At least he has an established motivation, even if it makes no sense. Unlike his game counterpart. Oh god, Scott's trying to kill me for insulting his creation. But then we get the actual best scene in the movie. So right before they make it to the house, Mike goes to the pizzeria from the first movie, and he just yells in there to the presumably empty pizzeria, "Hey, dead kids who possess the animatronics, I thought you were Abby's friends. She's in danger. You gonna help?" Nothing happens. He says, "Okay, fine, I'm doing it myself." And then he runs back. And now in this scene, right before the toy animatronics are about to attack, the original animatronics from the first movie just show up and start kicking their butts. How did they get there? I don't know. How did they get there when they're so slow? I don't know. I just asked that. I'm going off script. And this scene, with the music and the way it's shot, I think it's supposed to be like an Avengers Assemble moment. I think they might have wanted the audience to get up and clap during this scene, which, you know what? I would have gotten up with a standing ovation if I wasn't in a crowded movie theater with other people, because then I would have been embarrassed. That's why this movie is here, because it's bad. Like I said, it's awful, but I can't hate it because every terrible thing it does is done so hilariously. This movie has been slipping on the same patch of ice for 90 minutes, but at a certain point, it just becomes funny. And that's why I don't think I could properly place it on the list, because it's not bad, it's not good, it's both bad and good, and yet I love every second of it. So there we go. Number 0, 14 out of 10. MatPat is Toy Bonnie. I don't know how to end this segment. Transition to outro conclusion part. Hi, it's me after editing everything. Wow, that took a really long time, and I'm really tired now. I didn't really have an outro planned, but that just took a long time, the editing everything. I don't mind editing normally, but this time it It was so tedious, and just having to find all the clips of the movies and then put them in. It's not my best work, I'll be honest, but whatever. The point is, it's done now, and I can move on to something else. And if I'm ever doing this again, like next year, I gotta pay an editor to do this for me. Anyways, all I want to say is, hey, I'm gonna make stuff. I'm just gonna have fun with it. Unlike this wasn't fun. Well, most of it was fun, but the editing was not fun. Regardless, I'm making stuff. I'm having fun with it. I don't really care. Just subscribe if you want, or don't. I don't care. Good night.